Okay, and then what is a MQL in terms of definition? So how do you become an MQL?
Or you interacted, or you talked to them on Drift,
Okay.
or Intercom.
So there's
Took
some
action.
sort of action that's been taken. So that, for instance, if I downloaded a white paper, am I an instant MQL? Okay. So now it depends. So that's interesting. Is now what happens if we start to have different meanings of what an MQL really is? So if we're talking about lead score potentially, and once lead score hits up a certain threshold, that kicks over into an MQL. Sure, but everyone's lead score formula is going to be different. So how the heck do we even get to what an MQL is? So one of the things that we do is determine and say, okay, here's what an MQL is, the specific definition of that, and then from there standardize your data around that. So then we can come back and start to do some analysis on what's working and what's not working in a sales organization. Because we can flip the card over, look on the other side, and based on your average deal size, you can look and see with the data model that were presented here, the conversion rates or expected conversion rates throughout the funnel. Now the beauty
is this stage to stage, so 10% to the stage or overall?
That's correct. Stage to stage. Yes. So that might have answered some of the other questions as well. So, I lost my train of thought. I'm going to go with, this card is fantastic. What it gives you the ability to do is actually do root cause analysis. So as you sit down, everyone's growing really fast. Which ones of those match up with the conversion rates throughout that funnel? And if there's something that doesn't quite match up, I wonder why. And what you're able to do is a lot like lean manufacturing, is then go in and actually understand, now, hang on a second, I need to go and assess, I need to go and look at what's going on. Maybe the handoff, if you look at the data there, of going from an MQL to an SQL or an SQL to an SAL, there's something that's not quite right there. And then you can go in and actually, let's listen to some recorded calls. Let's look at the emails that the team is sending out. Let's actually do some more diagnosis to understand, how do I really improve this touch point? Because then you could go back and go, oh man, I had no idea we were sending these emails. These are terrible. I understand why things are going so terrible. Or we've just released a new feature. We're just selling into a new customer segment. We're trying to go up market. We're trying to go down market. All of these things will start to impact your conversion rates. So the other side of this is also understanding, how do I do proper segmentation so that I can also understand, is this an SMB issue? Is this mid-market? Is this enterprise? And all of those could probably have different sales motions and also different ACVs and different conversion patterns. So really what we look at here is a very standard data model that we utilize at Winning by Design to help us do the diagnosis of what's working and what's not working.
Gary, I just love to drop a provocative bomb in there, just like to get everybody riled up. Folks, churn of your product and churn of your subscribers, is an issue of your product, not an issue of your customer success organization. Okay? I just want you to sit, this is a real thing that we see out there. If you keep treating churn as something that your customer success organization is there for, it's not. Customer success can help, it's a band-aid, it's the emergency room, but it's a product issue. A product issue. Yes, sir.
How about upselling? Is that a factor of the product or the success team?
Okay, so I'll give you an idea, and later on we can come. I'll give you an idea already. We'll do a little bit after. There's 4 processes that create upsell expansion opportunity. They're a function of a 2x2, and if you draw that function out, it's in the book. Is it an existing benefactor or a new benefactor? Is it existing product or new product? It creates 4 pieces. Renewal, same buyer, same product. Resell, same product, new buyer. generally your buyer left, your customer left, moved, upgraded to another account, and now a new person comes into the play, often very misunderstood. Upsell, same buyer, new product, and cross-sell, totally new group inside the company and probably buying totally new product. 4. Each 4 are treated differently. If I look, which are the customer success organizations properly trained for, I can say, hey, they're properly trained for renewal of existing buyer, existing product. Most likely, they're not being trained to sell new product into a new division. I'll give you an example. On behalf of a company, I sold video recorders at that point in time. We won Disney, as in Disney Time Warner, the Walt Disney Company. Having done that, I go like, parent company of ESPN. Let me go into ESPN and just, I gotta be able to sell. I walk into ESPN, trying to sell them the same video encoders I just sold, thinking I'm gonna be king. What did the person at ESPN do to me? Looks at me and go like, not only am I not gonna buy a product, I'm actually gonna go back to Time Warner, the Walt Disney Corporation, and I'm gonna tell them that they bought the wrong product, and that actually we need to kick you out. Folks, cross-selling and upselling can be extremely complicated, cross-selling in particular. I'm not saying that customer success cannot do that, but they need to be properly trained on that. 4 different processes. Okay, I'm gonna, as Derek is handing it out, here's any other questions on this particular model. I wanna draw a line down here. And you see me in the previous charts, I often draw this line around live. Okay? What you see down here is the formula that many companies, and I cannot tell you how many companies do not understand this difference and what the challenge is. What you see down here at the left lower corner is a formula that indicates that the product of a live customer is the result of nothing but 4 or 5, 6 conversion rates. If I ask an independent department inside your company, if I ask sales, hey, you have $10 million, how do you get there? They go like, oh, I got 2 million from the East Coast, 3 million from the West Coast, I got 2 million, blah, 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 and they have 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. What do they do in order to get to the 10 million? Which arithmetic are they using? Addition. If I say I need 1,000 MQLs, which arithmetic is marketing using when they say, I got 200 from website, I'm gonna get 300 from webinars, right? Addition. The problem is, our business is not based on the arithmetic of additions. It's based on the arithmetic of multiplying. Now, on the left, that relates into the second, that you have an exponential impact. On the right, if I look at conversion rate 6 and 7, they are compound impact. That means that time has an effective nature of that. If I sell a platform, then the compound nature of 3 years only is 3. That is not big enough to make an overall big impact, because if I make that periods down here 3, then essentially, long story short, I can make, when I sell a platform, I can say all this 1 to 7 operates the same as exponential impact. If I sell a monthly contract, however, on a 3-year contract, that period is 36. Huge impact. Huge impact. Okay? 2 different formulas. When you run recurring business, you need to know and understand these formulas, because they make a gigantic impact on your business, and in particular the role the customer success plays.
Question about the formula. So the first one is the prospects multiplied by the conversion rate of 5 different conversion rates times the price, which makes sense to me. The other one, though, it seems like is new MRR multiplied by 1 plus, and is that churn or renewal?
Okay.
Because otherwise it would need to be negative. If
That's
it's
right.
Churn.
So we don't look at churn, we look at everything as, what's the opposite of churn?
Renewal.
Retention.
Retention.
We look at everything, you're absolutely right. So all that is retention numbers.
Okay, so it would be minus churn or plus retention, but not plus churn.
We
right?
call it churn, we should call it retention at the bottom. You're spot on.
Okay, that completes me. Thank you.
Yeah, no, you're spot on. And what he's referring to, 2% churn, is not the right thing. 98% retention is the right way of looking at it. Okay?
And you'll see that in your chart.
Yes.
You see retain as opposed to churn.
Now, what we're going to do, Derek, do you want to run this?
Yeah, you mean you're hogging the mic. I mean, I don't like
Dude, I'm ready for another Red Bull.
I just want to get at least my 10 words in, contrary to Jacco hogging the mic. So Jacco already kind of let the cat out of the bag here a little bit around how do you scale a SaaS organization? And there's multiple ways to do that. One is you just, hey, maybe I just need more leads, more MQLs, more sales reps. But there's probably some other ways to do this as well. And if we look at an end-to-end conversion, taking 1,000 leads into the top, or prospects in the top of a funnel, converting them all the way through, including the idea here on the chart, which isn't here, but the idea of discounting and how discounting actually impacts your business as well. Looking at ARR output of $972,000. Now, if we look at each of those events and we improve just a tiny itty bitty bit, 10% improvement on each of those metrics, does anyone have a guess or anyone want to run the math on a calculator to understand what that number will be if we do that 10% improvement? We're not talking 100% improvement, we're talking 10%.
Another $1 million.
Another $1 million. That seems crazy. Another $1 million? Does anyone else have any other ideas?
Oh, I get.
Oh.
Another $1 million.
Yeah.
That to me, when I first saw it, I was like, wow, that is crazy. We could make such tiny little adjustments and have massive impact. This is not saying, hey, I need to improve my efficiency of my sales team. It's all about close rate. Our sales team sucks. It's actually not that at all. It's really having the discipline to look full funnel and understand, how do I find those 10% improvements throughout that end-to-end funnel? So with that, what we're going to start to do is, as I alluded to, this is going to be hands-on discussion with your team, and I have now handed out exercise number 1, which is on this sheet, and we'll put up so that everyone can see. So there's the 2X part. There's the cards that we're going to be referring to, so everyone's going to need these cards, but we're going to need this sheet. And I put one on every single table, and work as a table to analyze this funnel. So what you want to do is look at the ACV, look at the back here, look up to say it is an ACV of 30,000. Where along the side of this matrix does that fit? And then what are the conversion rates across the funnel? And as a team, write onto the paper what the conversion rate should be based on metrics and based on our benchmark. And then as a table, discuss what's wrong with the funnel. And, yeah, go ahead.
Now this is the key part. Because we now have metrics, what I want, what winning by design, what we're looking to accomplish, I do not want an opinion. I just want, from the baseline, I want to show, give me like what is causality proving, not what correlation is telling me. Later on, I'm going to tell you, look, I love that you have a gut feel. Use the gut feel to verify the data in that area where there's a problem and show me causality. But I'm not interested in a 25-year-old VP of sales with 25 years of experience selling a perpetual software or working for a company for the past 8 years, telling me how my business should be run in this particular job. It doesn't work. Why? Because that data may be historic. Doesn't mean that the person has a good gut feel. I'm like, still, I like your gut feeling, but prove to me, do the research where you have your gut feeling where the data is.
Awesome. So let's take 3 minutes. Do this first exercise as a table, and then appoint a spokesperson to talk about it, and we'll come around. For those people that want to raise their hand and communicate as to what the table has come up with. So, 3 minutes.
Not sure I understand this exercise. Yeah, I don't see that. Do you?
I thought they were just filling the boxes and then identify what the issue is with their funnel.
Right. And I get the part that you fill the boxes, but how do you
I guess if there's an issue here that you've got 17% of the big drop off that needs to be able to break.
Well, so the benchmark is 30K, right? So They're 25 to 50,000, and it looks like this number that is filled in for a little heifer, 20%.
You don't ever see one there.
What's that? Yeah, right? Is that going to be, write that in there, right?
Yeah.
I'll be described, huh?
And then the 90.
200. And then we're going to convert 45% of those. Yeah, put 90 right there. Or we put these numbers up here.
Sure.
So mine.
Number of days.
That's the time, the sales cycle time, right? Yeah. So we've got 90 here. Right?
Yep.
So 95% of those, right?
Yep.
That same number. What? 85 and a half, 86.
Yep.
Then what happens? We're supposed to,
And then 17% of those end up.
committing. I keep reading that it's 171. 86.
Yeah. So we got 14.6.
15. 15 people committed.
And then we got our 30K with drive. 450K. I guess that we could compare what the percentages are with this, where the 30K would be in 15, 20, 25.
You mean to do like an analysis against the benchmark? You were thinking?
Maybe, because that's the only one that's like below what the benchmark would be for this.
Okay, so you're saying that in theory that this 45% was stronger than this,
Yep.
so we're good here.
Yep.
Our conversions from market qualified leads to SQL is strong.
Yep.
And at 95%, we're on money. We love it. And we're supposed to be at 30%, so we're almost half of that. We got a huge chunk with, well, it says it's not addition, right? It's not linear. It's a major difference, right?
Yep.
So what's the difference between those two? So the difference is huge, right? It's going to be 90, right? Should have been 30%, right? Would have been 90 times 0.3, right?
So this number should have been
86 times 42.
86 times, let's say 0.3, right? Is that the right number?
26.
It should have been, I don't know, 26 down here. Or 26. So what's the,
That's 30K.
yeah, that's going to be 40, so it's just a, that's not 30, right? 450,000, right?
Versus 720K.
Yeah. 780K. Which is, 60% increase, right? Or 40%. Huh?
this is over this,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. 57, 43%.
How you guys doing?
Trying to confirm exactly what we're doing here. So we pulled out the numbers, then we were comparing to the benchmarks here and saying this is below the benchmark we would have expected to be 30%.
Yeah, that's right, correct. Yeah, yeah.
So
and then looking to understand, okay, why is that? So there's two numbers that don't match. Is that number and this number.
Yeah.
And
Oh, we didn't go all the way down to the first number, huh?
so if you go back and look at either of those, understanding to say, hang on, close rate's really low, but maybe they're passing unqualified leads to the sales team.
Right, we
resulting
mentioned
in
that in our discussion.
Yeah.
So perhaps that
So-
number should be lowered in order to get this to the right.
That could be higher. Lower that could go up. But the typical response is not looking at that, just looking at the sales team's performance and firing the sales team to the close rate for.
Yeah, that should have been 50.
So talk amongst yourselves and see if there's anything else that would trigger that.
So if that was the 45 was 25, right? That was 25% like on the card.
Right.
You say that that's a higher quality lead, a much higher quality lead, and you're converting 25 as well to 50 high quality leads. And then then what happens? That number.
Issues here, right? So they were not all that long.
Right. So if you've got 50 higher qualified leads, and that number becomes that 17 becomes 30, right? 30. That's all you're saying.
Yeah, they're basically saying that we're taking our 200 MQLs and put too many MQLs, right? And the team that's handling that should be qualifying before passing its upper confusion.
Right, that number right there.
So creating too much pipeline.
And not good. And not good.
Yeah.
Are we supposed to go?
Yeah.
Just one more.
So we would have expected 50%, 70%, 25%.
Only you have to do one. Only do one. Okay. Okay, Derek.
Some water, I can carry another one.
Okay.
No, I'm good.
My mic is not there.
Oh, it is not big time.
All right, we're back. So, I'm sure you've had some interesting conversations. I went through a bunch of tables and we actually were able to talk through a couple of different ideas. So, I'd love a volunteer, someone that wants to talk about first gut reaction in terms of what they saw and potentially what would happen in most sales organizations.
Sure. So my initial huge issue was quality.
But I'm gonna point a few things out down here, right? What happens, and I think the table over there mentioned it and came to the right conclusion. That 45% down here, right? What is happening there? No, that was you. Opening up. Because in that activity, this is where it goes wrong. A particular metric that you're gonna often people question on. They see a very high ACV, right? 200. SDR is not functionally very useful because the buyer will generate their own leads at that level. Therefore, that SQL to SEL is a given. ACVs, there is no specific metric that is needed for this. For those who have two-stage sales organization, SDR responsible for this, AE responsible because like Dutsky, it wasn't on paper. I just want deals I can close, right? Which is a very common occurrence that this happens. We
Potentially could be going on here. Is anyone else?
Oh, well, the thought is that the 95% is wrong because they should have been disqualifying. They're just as responsible for passing through some bad deals.
423, like no worry. But if it should be 25%, you currently note that we, in some industries, particularly when marketing comes up with these metrics, they are flipped. They call them SAL. Simply change this world and say sales accepted opportunity, then everybody gets it. Okay, so I don't want you to make of this alphabet soup make a big issue out of it. We believe if you accept it, you are held accountable for it. You accepted it. In the sales terminology, it's very common. I accept it, and I'm now responsible for it. From a marketing perspective, no, you need to accept it sooner because I'm going to get paid again. Our problem is, so to speak, it's a buyer's challenge. The buyer tells us what they need. So and let's say I use a phone call conversation, which is, let's say I get a phone call conversation. If the buyer simply asks, do you integrate with Salesforce, the most recent version? Awkward situation. Doesn't matter if you have one, maybe not, but as soon as you get 2, 3, 4 questions and SDR can answer it, this is just started a month ago. By all means, take every call, learn how to do it, get that experience. But an experienced AE will always say, my number one thing I have to
do a couple of tables about this is some more ideas that you can come back and discuss. We'll come and touch this funnel just for 1 second. When we come back, we'll do 2 more exercises. So we'll see you at 3.
Some coffee or drinks or snacks, they're being served outside.
Our sales team is built different. We don't have SDR team. We don't have M4 places. And so our account executives own their account, their book for the life of. Yeah, that's similar. Yeah. Can we part of those guys? Still measure like no, we built our own.
Why?
I know. I did we ran our own e-commerce platform. So basically everything we have to do ourselves. Yeah.
Is it like
just having that conversation? Because now we're in the middle of a so it is a concern. So we might start picking and choosing things like the better to buy or build. Flying US-based companies. Yeah. Right. this is the first one. There's a violations of this time. Right. Right.
Otherwise, every time someone wants to follow the resources.
Passport number into the system, knowing it's going to be there, even if I'm only traveling once every other year. Like now, all of a sudden.
Have a profile, but it didn't have my.
Oh, really?
And so my.
It's going to happen more and more frequently. Yeah, that's wild.
I think it's really going to hinder our business, but also like costs are going to become completely
in certain industries, at certain times, at certain processes, that there.
So,
all of that is.
I'm going to give you a few questions I got during the break that I think are benefit for everyone to use. And so I want to see what is the difference, okay? Give you an email address, they give you something. Make sense? MDR, reach out to these people down here with our email campaigns. SDR, most logical organization ever part of that the outbound in this case, traditionally MQL to SQL, conversion rate of MQL to SQL. Reach outbound, they still, obviously the moment in time they get a customer on the line, they develop an SQL, they reach sense. Then we have BDR. BDR stands for Business Development Rep. Change was giving them so many leads that they just assigned one person to do nothing but just work with the Salesforce sales managers in order to report into your head of business development. That's how BDR in the back end. That's where they work. Okay. No, they're all going like, in the end, I have to tell you, so often. Oh, what is the customer success rep? Oh, they represent 9 million in ARR. We go, and I look at it, I'm like, okay, that's clearly a mismatch. Derek.
Perfect. Awesome. So what we're going to do is skip past. Next one is also the missing blocks, and let's have those discussions.
So they're all. Sorry. 71.25. 28. Are you in these? 27. 18.6.
So that's the deal with embedding into the organization.
That's right. So, what's that win rate?
Yeah.
That's right. That's the same. Yeah. Like, to your point, like, I guess you could make an argument that one standard product with this big fat character.
Okay.
Send them to me, the inside sales, and say, can you sell this piece?
Okay, now. Okay, that is right. And so, do you folks see that this she takes, and she looks on average, whatever, 1 in 5. And so, I actually see that Mary has taken so much time in educating. Anyone else questions? Derek?
Yeah, anyone else with questions? I've got one other comment.
The way of presenting product.
Absolutely. This could be an absolute product issue, right? And then particularly when you look at the metrics, you can see like, hey, was this an open?
And they're at 60K, so maybe they're pricing themselves too low, and as a result, they're
not. You're tapping into fewer qualified candidates because not everybody is willing to spend 100 grand on stuff, right? And this in generally comes to the following: when. Okay.
One last question or comment. Amelia, I just wanted to get your perspective.
It's during onboarding where first value is taking too long. And so if you have a 6-month onboarding, it just doesn't work. First value in the first 30 days, it can dramatically shift the achieve impact quickly.
Maybe just 30 days of using our product.
Okay, this is of a client.
Am I on? Okay, great. Yeah, so they've answered, they can jump in and get.
Recently we bought a product our 16 architects sitting on the call. Here's where our mind needs to think about. When while I was in the middle of negotiation, and I had to lose, if I start telling the buyer, look like, kind of like align very quickly with the seller, because they like that the seller actually the buyer shows up and says, like, hey, I know I'm not suited to this, but he wants to be so close to you on that Monday morning. What do they take you through? The onboarding process. Is anybody checking again with the customer? Hey, let's go over again. You do not stop when you hit the ball in a baseball bat. You do not stop when you hit the ball when you hit the basketball. You do not stop when you hit the ball on a Monday and Tuesday. Thank you for signing that, because otherwise these metrics are going to be negatively impacted. No. This is what we say. It's like, hey, there's another impact that you can achieve. Say $30,000 ACV. And who sells a product 30 and then pick a market? That means that your organizations need to be built more specialization in the role of selling. And as you see, when I go to the larger organization, then I'm selling enterprise, I see a lot of where it comes from. Do you know how far advanced we are on this? Okay. Camera. Can you move that camera?